In this video I'm going to show you how to create a sprite, how to put your sprite in the world, how to control your sprite, how to have it interact with the scenery. And what we've got over here is, you may notice this if you're an old school gamer, this is a little fake level I've done from Castle of Illusion Graphics. We've got some nice parallax scrolling going in there, and now we just need Mickey Mouse to put into the scenery. So we're going to go to our sprites and behaviors, we're going to hit create new, and we're going to name this Mickey Mouse. And we need to get size from file because I don't know how big Mickey's going to be. We're going to hit import gets doubled because the graphics that we're going to be importing are too small, so we're going to double pixel size them. So let's hit get size from file. We're going to choose our Mickey Mouse sprites. And now basically what I have to do is, you see I can use my left mouse button to drag a selection, and we're just looking to create a size. See, every time I do this it changes. So we want to grab the biggest sprite so that we know all the sprites will be able to fit. It looks like this is a pretty wide one. That's a tall one, but we can kind of figure that out. So we're going to grab this one. We're going to make our Mickey Mouse. Let go. It's 112 by 96. We're going to hit OK. Now the sprite has been created, and you'll notice it's turned into a yellow box with red eyes. This is just a default image, and we'll be able to change this here in a second. So this is the animations panel, and we access this by right-clicking a sprite. And you see we can set the collision box, which we'll do in a little bit. Edit animations, this is where we are now. Recolor set, we'll talk about that later. Duplicate, which is self-explanatory, and then delete. So over here we've got all of our frames. These are just every single frame that we import, and we can edit it. We've got tools up here. We can nudge it. We can flip it vertically, horizontally. We can open a folder of files. We can open up a single file. Because we're doing this as sort of like a sheet, all of our animations or all of our frames are on a single page. When you use the disk icon, we're going to do them one at a time. And we've got C. We can copy this, and then we can paste it. So we copy this here, then hit P over here, and that'll paste it. But we don't want to have that there, so we're going to delete that one. Up here, this is our film strip for our animations. We'll be able to drag and drop our frames into that animation timeline, and then we'll have a preview over here. Up here are all the different animations that are available. We've got single animations for climbing, crawling, crouch, death, fall, still, all that stuff. Then we've got one for every action. We've got the animation set. We've got 5 different animation sets. It's something we'll talk about a little bit later. Over here we can set the direction for the animation we're working on, the speed from 1 to 100, how fast the animation plays. Loop, does it loop? This is for like idle animations or walking animations. Velocity, we'll talk about velocity a little bit later. And there's some other things as well. But first thing we need to do, let's go ahead and get a Mickey Mouse sprite in here. So we've hit the disk icon, and now we can drag this around to figure out which frame we want. We've got all these still frames, so we're going to go ahead and do the idle animation right here. Now we've imported that frame. Now let's right click this. You can see that there's a little bit of black right here because the tail from the next one over got imported as well. Because our box was a little bit too big, but that's okay. So we're going to right click to edit this. And you're going to notice, as you see, it's very, very, very dithered. And that's one of the techniques we do. And then we're double pixeled it. The dithering doesn't apply to the double pixel. So what this is going to do is it's going to allow you to get much more closer. Because we use a color palette. These are the colors that are available to you. And the reason why we use a specific color palette is because it helps people with graphics, because our lighting and darkening tools, lighting and darkening tools are specific to those colors, and it runs through these bands, and it makes it very, very easy to do pixel art, especially if you've never done pixel art before. So it's really powerful for graphic editing. We'll talk about that a little bit later. So but that's why we do this. It'll make sense the more you use it, but you'll notice that he looks a lot better here than he does here. And so we need to delete this tail, so we've got the eraser selected, so the tail is gone. Let's import the second frame of his idle animation here. That time it didn't get the tail. Let's do the third. We're just going to do this idle animation pretty quickly. This will get the tail of the next one. Let's erase that tail again. Let's go to the 4th frame. Got the tail again. And then the 5th frame, and this looks like it's going to get a little bit of a shoe in this one. Erase all of that. Oh, there's the shoe. Go grab the tail. We've also got the onion skinner over here. We can activate this, and basically this allows us, we're switching between frames 4 and frame 5. So this allows us to line up our animation, and we can hit draw inside game world, except that's not working yet because we haven't dropped him to the game world. So we'll show that a little bit later as well. So now let's work on this idle animation. Well, you know what? First of all, let's go ahead and set the collision box while we're here, and we can drag a selection to set this up. Actually, you know what? We should probably come back to this because it's playing through all of our animations, but you see he's kind of jumping all over the place right now because we haven't lined everything up yet. Let's do that as a rough draft. So let's go ahead and create this idle animation. And so there's our first frame. You can see second frame, he's moving to the left or the right a little bit, so we'll try to, I don't know if we should have him move. We'll just do it right there. He's moving up here so we can nudge him down a little bit. Looks pretty good. He's moving way to the right, so we'll nudge him to the left. That looks pretty good. Now he looks like he's moving down and to the right. So that looks pretty good. So now let's have it loop backwards. So that looks pretty decent. It's not really looping all that well. Let's see. Let's speed it up a little bit. Make it much slower. It looks like we've got a couple of frames right here where he's not really moving. I don't know the specifics of this animation, but it certainly works. It's good enough. It's not exactly how it was in Castle of Illusion, but like I said, I just downloaded someone else's graphics. So now we can go inside the collision box. And we want to have it a little bit lower, so let's pull this down. Oh, he's also moving to the right on one of these frames. The two where he's in the same spot, it must be this one. It was. And the problem with this, see, this is, whoever did this did not do the animations correctly because he's got two frames where he's doing the exact same thing. So, we have to kind of redo this. Let's see, is it these two frames? One, two. His tail, see his tail is the same there. It might be these two. Trying to figure this out. Well, let's try this. Let's go ahead and right click to delete some frames. We'll try to troubleshoot this very quickly. So let's put him right there. Yeah, I think that was the problem. We've kind of got an extra frame we don't need. Doing a lot of blinking too. So these last two frames are pretty much the same thing. So if we got rid of that, it would be back and forth like that. So I think I'm just going to do it like that. And we'll set it to 70. Whoops. Maybe a little bit faster. So looking a little bit better. So there's our right idle. And now let's just, for the heck of it, let's just go ahead and drop him into the game world. Let's create a new behavior for him. Mickey BH. Hit OK. Now we have to click on him and select the behavior. So there's Mickey BH and hit play. And he fell right through the floor. Why did he fall through the floor? Because these tiles haven't been set up to block anything yet. So let's go look at our tiles. I've set up an anchor here for the Mickey tiles, which is right down here. We can just scroll down, but it's much easier to find them through the anchor system. So what we have to do is we have to set these tiles. Basically, we just want to set these tiles right here to be blocked. So we're going to select them with the left mouse. We're going to show tile styles. And you see we've got this little box right here for each one. We hover over it and it shows it. White means it's completely unblocked. So we're just going to hit it once and make it blocked. So now let's refresh the level, and now Mickey will land on the floor. There he goes. He's landed on the floor, and now we can use, well, we don't have any controls set up yet. So we need to go to Object to Control. We're going to select Mickey Mouse, and now we hit play, and now we're controlling Mickey Mouse. You can see that he's moving around, and we can have him jump. We don't have the camera following, so let's set the camera to follow him. We're going to have the camera start off pointed at him. There we go. We got Mickey Mouse running, walking around, jumping. See the physics engine's very, very tight. maintaining a pretty good frame rate here. Of course, you're seeing this video at 30 frames per second, but it runs at, if you're seeing it choppy, it's much smoother. Like I said, there's really no place that lets you upload 60 frame per second videos, so that's why we're like this. That's why it's running at 30 frames per second. So let's go back to our sprites. Let's go ahead and pause our game, and once again notice that we're able to edit in real time. And I could sit here and change these tiles. I could drop more sprites in. We're able to do everything in real time. So let's right-click Mickey, and we're going to edit animation. So I can't even remember which frames I was using. I'm only using 3 frames now. So we're going to copy and paste and flip these. So we're going to hit copy, paste. Now we're going to do a horizontal flip. So let's grab this frame, paste it, flip it. And let's go ahead and grab this one as well. So we're just going to do the 3 frames here. Wasted a lot of time complaining about the person who who ripped these. Don't mean to be a jerk, but you know how it goes. And now his feet are shuffling here when he... So that looks pretty good. So now there's the left, and let's see if that applied pretty well. So now you can see if I move to the right and then move to the left, now we've got these idle animations working, the still animations. So that's looking pretty good. That's working exactly how I want it to. Now the next thing we want to do is we want to do a walking animation. Okay, I went ahead and paused the video and did all the walking animations since it's taking forever. And I noticed what the guy did. He actually didn't do this improperly. What happens is Mickey blinks his eyes periodically, so he did 2 animations for the blinking. So you see you've got on this idol, you've got, these are the same, and this is him blinking, and then he's opening his eyes and things like that. And he did the same thing for walking, so I just took those out. And you can put those in, you could put those blinking animations in. You just have to loop it a few more times to do that. So I've got, here's walking to the right, and we've got walking to the left, and I didn't do those exactly the same, but I'm not worried about perfection. I'll leave that to people who want to use this to make games. I'm just doing some tutorials showing you how to do things. Now you notice a little dimmed blue wrench icon. Now this is for dragging and dropping objects onto your sprite. For example, if you went to your sounds panel and you wanted to drag and drop, so you got this bell sound that we used on our Ghouls and Ghosts title screen, we could drop that in and then it would play that sound on that frame of animation. But we're going to do that a little bit later. So let's go ahead and take a look at Mickey now. You see I was editing that and everything was still going, so now we push left, the left key, the right key. You see Mickey's going just fine. Now you jump, he's just continuing to walk or whatever animation's playing. Anytime it looks for an animation that doesn't exist, it's just going to keep playing the current animation. So we have fall animations, but because I haven't put one in yet, you're going to notice when he walks off the edge, it's just going to play his walking animation, which is the best way, the most realistic way to do it. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to do a jump animation, and I'll go ahead and what I'll do is I will pause this for a moment. I'll scroll down here. I'll pause it and I'll go ahead and import the frames. Okay, I've imported all of the jumping frames. Now, in Castle of Illusion, Mickey Mouse has a very unique type of jump. It's actually a little bit of a, I wouldn't say an optical illusion, but you don't think about it till you see it. So what I've got is I've got an emulator over here, and I'm going to take a look at the jump. So just looking at this, you'll see what's happening is it's playing, let's look at this. He's basically, it's a jump and then a fall animation. So the first frame is this frame right here. So let's go ahead, and really that's the only frame. And which is that? I'm guessing it's this one right here. Yeah, it's that one. So this is really all we want to do for the jump, and we're going to turn off the loop because there's really no reason to. So we're going to do it like that. So that's what we're doing for jump, and let's do the other side as well. That's going to be the opposite one. So that's really all we have to do for jump, and then what we have to do is we have to look at the fall animation. So now let's watch what happens when he falls. And it looks like we've got this frame. This is the first frame of the fall animation. So let's see where this is. It's this one right here. So there's the first frame of the fall animation. And this needs to be, we noticed, you know, we need to line these up a little bit better. So you see he's going way down there. We need him to be much, much higher. That's probably pretty good right there. So let's go ahead and do it for the one facing to the left too. So there's the first frame. Now let's see if we can get the next one. So there's the next one, which is going to be this one. That looks pretty good, and then this would have to be the third one. And he's way all over the place there, so let's get him to go down a little bit. That might be okay, and let's turn off the loop. Now let's do it for the other side. That's about right. So the first one was this one, then we had this one, then we had this one. I have to realign him once more. Turn off the loop, and let's see if it worked. I can't guarantee that it's going to work, but let's see. It is actually working. The problem is that the gravity is set to really high, so we're going to turn down the gravity just a little bit so it's a little bit more floaty. Play again. Good. Now that's way way too small amount of gravity, so we'll just raise it up a little bit more. Try again. Still a little bit too much gravity, or a little bit not enough gravity, I should say. So let's take it a little bit more. So that's pretty good. You know, we walk off the edge, it'll play that animation as well. So that's pretty much what we were looking for. Okay, now we're going to do the attack animation. I guess that's the next step. So let's take a look and see what we've got here. So it looks like he's got 3 frames for his attack. So let's go ahead and import these real quick. This will just take a second. Okay, so the way that so now what we're going to do is, this is going to be his still. So still plus action is what we're looking for. And you'll notice that when we use an action animation, you'll notice that it takes the original animation, the still, and it fades it. This is so that we can line up everything together. So I'm going to show you why we want to do this. So we're going to drag and drop this guy right here, and you're going to see that, well, he's too high. So now we can use, it's basically an onion skinner, which allows us to view what's going on underneath. So there's the first frame. Second frame is right there, and you can see that he's moving a little bit, so we don't want that. Pretty good. And that's a little bit fast, so let's set it to 60. Try it at 60. That's way too slow. Maybe 72. Looks pretty good. I want to turn off the loop. And so let's see. So that's pretty much how we want to do that. And let's do the other side now. I'm gonna have to remember exactly how to do this. It's been a while, so I may make some mistakes, but that's okay. Put him right there, and right there. And what was that set to? I think it was 72. Yeah, 72. Turn off the loop. Now he's not going to throw anything yet. We'll do that a little bit later. So there's Mickey once again. And now in our behavior, we need to go look at our buttons. And how do we want to do this? It may, well, actually we actually don't have a button set, so we need to go to cabinet and set button 1 to attack. Now let's go into our controls. Whoops, wrong one. Edit my controls. Attack is the A button, so now we know what that is. So let's see if this will work. It works. You'll notice that it's not playing it entirely unless I hold down. If I just tap it, so we can fix that. So let's see, where is that? Play entire animation on press. Want to toggle that, so hit play again. So now we hit it, plays the entire animation. Except you'll notice at the very end his arm doesn't stay extended, so we're going to go and fix that. So let's go look at the still plus action once again. So what we're going to do is really simply, we're just going to We're just going to leave that animation in there for a couple more frames. And that should make it look a little bit better, so let's see. That looks a lot better. Of course, we don't have it set for jumping yet, so we'll have to set it for jumping. But that's a general idea of how you can do your, let's take that off, and your attacking animation. Now there's other things we'd want to do for Mickey, but we're not going to do them just yet. Things like crouching, jumping, and throwing a projectile at the same time. But we're just going to do the projectile right now, and then maybe cover that a little bit later. So in Castle of Illusion, Mickey throws an apple, and I've gone ahead and I've imported the apple while I paused the video a little bit ago. So we did it the exact same way we did Mickey, and it's just one frame. So let's go ahead and take a look at this real quick. And I've done some animations for it. I've set it to still, that one frame set to still, and I did the walk. Where's the walk? Going left and right. It only goes left and right. So we've gone ahead and set up the animation for it. So now I want to create a behavior for it. So we're going to go to New Behavior, and we're going to call this Thrown Apple. This is the Thrown Apple behavior. And let's go ahead and set some stuff. We don't want it to have any gravity because we don't want it to fall after it's thrown. So we'll just set that up right now. And now what we want to do is we want to go in and we want to edit Mickey's animations. We want to go to his still plus action. Where is it? Still plus action. And now on the frame where he's throwing, remember this old blue wrench that was faded out? We're going to drag and drop the apple. And now you'll notice that the blue wrench has lit up. Now we can click on this, and there's the apple. We want to line it up with where we want it to start from. So we're going to have it start about right here. And we're going to click here to set the thrown apple behavior. And then here you can set the direction that it faces. It doesn't really matter, but we'll have it face to the right. And there's a lot of other things as well. Create objects only if action button is pressed. That's for a game like, let's see, something like Contra, where you're running and shooting at the same time. You're not going to use that here because the action button's already been pressed, because this is an action animation, so you don't have to worry about that. And there's some other things. We can nudge the location of the object. You see, we can nudge it up and down. I like where it's at, though. We can edit the collision box as well if we want to adjust that real quick. And then we can have qualifiers for this item. We can say if an item must exist. For example, when Mickey picks up an apple, we could add that to the inventory, so you must have that apple in order for this object to spawn. What this is really good for, though, is it's good for shooters, where you have something like Gradius, for example, where you have multiple different types of lasers that can come out of your ship. You can just drag and drop all of those onto this frame, and then when you select each object, you can have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I tell you, I have a bad memory. You can have to 8 different objects spawn per frame of animation. You could just say, if you have a certain power up, it'll allow that item. So we've also got reduce this item. You can subtract the item. We would want to do that every time the apple's thrown. We want to have the apple. We could subtract the one apple at a time. Item must not exist. And then health must be max. So that would be something like Legend of Zelda, for example, when Link attacks with his sword and the little laser shoots out, the little laser sword shoots out, if you've got full health. So we could do that as well. So there's the left apple. Now you're really, in the case of this though, you're going to want to do this differently, and we'll talk about that a little bit as well. That's not the ideal way to set up removing apples. So over here, let's have it spawn here as well. The left side, we're going to have it right there. Face the left, set thrown apple again. So now let's take a look at this, and this isn't going to work properly, but you'll get an idea of where we're heading. So we throw it, and there's the apple that spawns. And we didn't import that apple very good. We got a little green backdrop around it, so let's go ahead and edit that, fix that up a little bit. You can see a little bit of an error. Let's do a smaller, turn off the onion skinner so we don't see that. Whoops, that was a mistake. Correct that real quick. So that'll make it look better. Now we've got our apples here, but when we throw them, they're just sitting there because we haven't given them a pattern. We're just sitting here and throwing them, and then nothing happens. It's just spawning them onto the screen. So what we need to do is we're going to go into our behaviors, the thrown apple, and we need to create a pattern for them. So we're going to go new pattern, and we're going to set it to, just rename it to throw. Doesn't really matter what it is. And what we're going to do is acts as projectile from animation. We're going to click that, and now let's throw an apple. You can see that now the apple goes in the direction that Mickey is facing. And just sit here and throw these apples all day. And of course there's a ton of things you can edit here. You can set up the collisions, how it interacts with the scenery. We could set it to, let's see, this may not work because these tiles are blocked. I have no idea why that, oh, I've got them set to bounce. They're hitting a wall and bouncing back, so that's what's happening there. So I stop when colliding against the world. See if that's, yeah, see we've got it set to bounce right now, so it's just bouncing off the wall. So we can set it to kill when it hits the wall. So now it's just getting rid of it when it hits the wall. And that's a pretty good starting point for your Mickey animation. And in a later video, I'll show more elaborate ways to animate your characters.